Hello, I'm Trevor.
And I'm Laura.
We have a deep passion for helping couples build strong, lasting relationships that truly thrive.
So we created Tools for Marriage.
Tangible, practical tools couples can start using right away.
Wherever you are in the world,
And wherever you are in your relationship.
we truly believe these tools can improve any marriage.
And maybe we put a few divorce lawyers out of business along the way. What are the things that you would advise?
Number one,
Part 2 of Is the Grass Always Greener? With the Andersons.
So what are some of the things you mentioned, a few of them there, in terms of, building that fortress around it? If you know that earthquake is coming eventually, right? Then they say, okay, get your, getaway bag and get your food in it. I mean, what are the things that you would advise?
number one, get pornography out of the house. I had pornography in the house as a Christian.
Yeah.
And it got down to one last DVD, and I was trying to convince her to let me at least keep this one, and I'll throw all those out.
Yes.
And that was my sale. That's my sinner's sales point. It's just one little DVD.
One little.
Yeah, that Satan will use to create
Yes.
chaos. So we threw all the pornography out, and the day that I finally, the Lord says, you need to get rid of that. You're not fooling anybody. I broke it in half, and I remember I could see myself walking out to the trash can. I purposefully broke it in half because of the temptation factor and threw it in there. And that was the end of the pornography thing. And so that's one of the things that we have to, as men, constantly battle.
And I have to say, that is a huge problem that a lot
Well,
of
now it's so easy.
it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so
Terrifying.
easy.
My dad had pornography. My uncles had pornography at the office.
Yeah.
You grow up with it back in those days.
So it didn't seem abnormal to you at all? Seemed like a natural, normal thing for
No.
you, whatever, but you learned
Absolutely.
how destructive it is.
Well, I learned, through her sensitivity, and also as you become a Christian, you start learning things that are not appropriate for you to be involved in. But the hard part is letting go of it. Like I said, I got to just one
Justify.
little DVDs and justify. So at some point you make that decision. I'm done with this. I got to be done with this because if I don't, it's going to be destructive for me. But it's also me looking at it and being enticed by it really is offensive to her. So, but you don't think of how it makes her feel, right? So I just had to finally just cut it out of my life.
Right.
And I, by the grace of God, I was able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some other things that you would tell young couples about those potholes or earthquakes that are forthcoming and what they can do about it?
Well, I do have in my book, the subtitle is How to Grow Affair-Proof Hedges Around Your Marriage. And it's not really just about affairs, because it's about protecting your marriage. A lot of buildings have fences around them. The verse in Mark 12:1 says a man planted a vineyard and set a hedge around it. So it's just in nature, you're going to protect your land, you're going to protect your boundaries. So one of those things would be guarding, and it spells out the word hedges, and they are quickly. H for hearing, meaning communication, really listening to each other. Encouraging is the E, which is to encourage your mate instead of tear him down. Obviously, we have corrections that need to be made, but the overview is to be encouraging. And then the D, HED, is for dating, which is to keep the fun and the excitement and the planning and the specialness of the two of you, even when you have kids or in-laws or whoever lives with you or whatever's going on, to keep it couple-centered, to remember why and how you started. And then guarding, which the pornography fits in there, which is what are those things you get to decide. You're the king and queen of your little country, and you get to decide what is acceptable and what is not. And then once you've established those, you hold each other accountable because we agreed this is a pornography-free home. So if it comes in, everybody knows it's a breach of the promise.
Right.
So you're really clear. It's not like you can go, well, I didn't understand what you meant, or that's not really pornography. There's not a lot of nuance. It's in or out. So a couple of those would be to establish rules and set clearly defined boundaries.
Yeah. And then E, right, is
Yes,
is one
E
more?
is educating, which is study your mate, become an expert.
Yeah.
So like, if I was going to get a PhD in Ron Anderson,
Yes,
how would I do that?
that's wonderful.
At the community college, I think they got
That's how you guys met.
Heads are us. I take
So, and that
class.
involves his childhood,
Yeah.
why he thinks something is funny or why he feels a certain way,
Yeah, curiosity.
political stuff,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
all kinds of things. So educating, and then the S is satisfying, which is taking all those first 6 things and implementing them. Because a lot of times we know,
right head knowledge versus
but we actually don't do it.
Put it in.
We don't meet the need. We know what the need is, but we're not in the mood. So
Yes.
that comes down to putting actions on top of all the rest of
Each
it.
one of those. I want you to share about your book, that this is where all
Okay.
of this is coming from.
Well, I don't know if you can see it, but it's called Avoiding the Greener Grass Syndrome, How to Grow Affair-Proof Hedges Around Your Marriage. And it's available on all the sites that books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. And just look for my name, Nancy C. Anderson. Don't forget the C. NancyCAnderson.com will give you all the information about it. And it's our story, but it's much broader than that. It's what we learned, and then the takeaway, and what we do when we give seminars, marriage seminars at churches. We just talk about,
Try to be as real as possible.
Yes.
And give them some practical things that they can do. It's never going to be perfect, but you're always trying to make the marriage a more fun spot to be hanging out in.
yeah.
Right?
and you're always learning and changing.
That's
Because
a good point.
when before kids, when kids are little, if you're working or not working, if the woman's home, if the husband at one point he had 3 jobs to keep everything going. So that was a season that was hard for different reasons. And then you have teenagers, that's hard. And then empty nest is
nest.
hard.
Yeah.
Retirement is hard.
Whole other. Yes.
So there's many seasons that you have to adjust to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm in her face 24/7 now. That's enough of me is enough of me.
Aw.
And that's, you're going through all these different phases in life. Like she says, raising children, there's different seasons, different problems with each of those seasons.
Oh, yes. It's like a different marriage. I think you think, oh, it's going to be like this. And you get into the next season and it's different.
Yes.
Yes.
But you remember also it's seasons.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that helps too.
You're right. That's a
There
good
will
point.
be another one along soon enough.
Yeah.
But doing these long-term things to pour into one another, so within each season you guys are best friends and growing closer and closer
Yeah.
within that.
How long ago was it after sort of the affair and the reconciliation that either the idea or the book itself was actually
I
released?
wrote it in 2004 initially. This is the second edition, which is in 2017. I started writing more, and they always tell you at every writer's event you go
Right,
to.
what you know, right?
Write what you know, and write the story you don't want to tell.
Oh, interesting.
Because that's going to impact the other people. Because if you don't want to share it, other people need to know.
Yes.
And so, but don't share it too soon after the event.
Yeah.
In other words, if you've just had
An affair.
an
Don't write a
affair,
book the first
like
week you're
next
back
week,
home.
don't form a affair support group because you're not ready.
You're not ready. Yes.
So this was 10 or 12 years afterwards.
Oh, okay.
So, and we taught a couples class at our church, which kind of helped us get a body of knowledge that helped. And I went to a writer's seminar and it's called the elevator pitch or a one sheet. And mine was, I had an affair, my husband forgave me, we've stayed married, and now we encourage other couples. So that was my couple sentences. And a publisher said, is your husband okay with you telling this story? I said, yes. And he goes, I think we want it.
Think of also the authenticity. I mean, I think a lot of times you're like, oh, I don't want anyone to know about this, and how I think when we all sit at a table and things, it's like I struggle too. I've gone through things, but I think a lot of times we don't want to share our story because of the judgment and things. But how this has blessed so many couples.
Well, I think as a body, as Christians, we should share those things because we're all just trying to get through this mess, and we make mistakes, and we have things that we need to change about how we behave toward each other. And if you express that to other people, they can connect with you and say, well, how do you deal with that? You know, my husband's a pothead or whatever it might be. How did you get your husband off drugs?
Yes.
You got to talk about stuff, and then you can start dealing with it. And then you got to bring the Lord at the center of it.
Right.
And you got to share it, because we're all wounded people trying to get through life. None of us have it 100% figured out. I'm going to make another stupid mistake in 6 months, I guarantee it.
Yes.
And she's going to find a way to forgive me. I'm going to find a way to understand why that hurt her, and we move forward. And every couple is going through the same stuff to some degree or another.
Yeah. When we sit down with couples, we usually go through something called SYMBIS, which is save your marriage before it starts. And it's to try to, get them on the right track. And we talk about conflict and communication. And one of the interesting things about it, I think, is the notion of conflict, right? Because a lot of the couples are in this kind of romantic mindset, right? They're about to get married. Everything's just going to be great. If there's any problems now, it'll all disappear on the wedding night or whatever.
I can hate him later.
Yeah,
That's right.
and it's, and you don't want to bring to them this sort of like, oh, it's going to be horrible. We want to encourage them because it is an amazing relationship. And the depth of the relationship is something that maybe they don't yet understand because they haven't gone through those seasons of trial or through those fires, But we do talk a lot about conflict and how to navigate and manage conflict. So I want to turn that over to you guys and say, when you guys talk about conflict, when you're teaching or even in your own marriage, what has been helpful for you guys to be able to talk, as you said, authentically with one another, to share from the heart, not to hurt one another, and to work through some of those things that can sometimes create conflict?
I think just leaving the room.
Yeah, just walk out. Okay, so that's one option. Any good ideas?
We've got a few. Our ground rules are up in our refrigerator.
Oh, is
No
that right?
name calling.
Okay, you have ground
Yes.
rules on the refrigerator then.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so no name calling. Okay, that's a good
No
one.
name calling. Stick to the issue at hand.
Yeah, one at a time, right? Don't drag out all the issues.
Right.
Yeah.
And then stick to, well, what about you? Because the other person's natural is to get defensive. Well, yeah, you did that. I did that, but what about you've done worse to me? So now we're saying
Tit for tat.
who's more terrible. Okay,
Right.
that's not productive.
Right.
So one of our biggest fights is about what he thinks is funny and what I think is hurtful. So to acknowledge that the other person, sometimes it's the man, might be more sensitive because of all kinds of different reasons. The guys can banter with each other. Like he says just horrible things to his friends and they all laugh and
Right.
think
Boys
it's
are
so
like that.
funny.
Yes.
But you and I would not.
Oh, break my heart. Yes.
Yes. So we have to acknowledge there's a difference between men and women and personalities and family backgrounds and points of view. And neither is necessarily right or wrong. We just have to give each other grace and try to really understand where the other person is coming from. Yeah, and the no profanity, I think you said that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We can't devolve into that.
Insanity, yeah.
And if someone slips, then you go,
Back in the day, I might say something crass and offensive. That doesn't open her up for discussion. That closes the door for discussion.
Shuts it down.
It's like, boom, I just threw down the nuclear word. And now there's no getting anywhere.
Yeah.
So I had to learn through her teaching me when I would do something like that, how that shuts her down. And first of all, I have to listen to her tell me that. And then I have to see if I'm going to buy into it or not. And then once I buy into it, then I've got to change my behavior. And sometimes what we've learned over being together so long, when you're trying to change behavior, you're kind of going like this. But if you stick with it, eventually you're going in the same thing.
Yeah.
But during this part, you got to give each other a little grace, because I remember Nancy said, you know, that joke you made at the party at my expense, I didn't think that was very funny.
Yeah.
Early on, I would say, well, actually, I know what's funny.
Oh, right. I decide what's
It was
funny.
funny. Trust me.
Right.
Comedy
You may not-
principles dictate that was funny.
Yet,
You may not think it's funny.
It crushed my soul, but
Right.
technically it
Right.
was funny.
yes.
Right.
So then we'd argue about that.
right.
Is it funny or not? So
Right.
there's another 2-hour discussion.
Yes.
So I had to learn that wasn't helpful.
Yeah.
So when I do slip and make a joke at her expense, and she says, that hurt my feelings, I don't think that was funny, I had to learn to say, I apologize, forgive me. And it took, believe me, it took a long time to get to that. And even now, once in a while, I'll slip, but at least now I know how I'm supposed to handle it when I do make the slip.
And I got to give him grace. That's one of the other things. If you can see that your partner is making an effort, is being more attentive, is generally you're getting stronger in whatever area you're struggling in, you can't get really nitpicky about it. If you see an overall improvement and a temporary setback, we do that. Whether you're trying to lose weight or go to the gym or whatever you're doing, you do good for a while and then you
Slip back and
might 2 steps back. So
Yeah.
you have to have grace and say, okay, let's regroup. How can we do that better? And try to use the word we more than you.
Pointing fingers.
Yes.
You have to keep the conversation open, and you have to keep her heart open, or my heart open, to talk about change. And if you do it improperly, the door gets shut and nothing gets solved, and you're fighting over this for the next 40 years, whatever that thing might be. So you have to learn those techniques. Like one of the things we learned early on is never use the word always. You always leave the door open, or you always do this. That's a loaded word, because all of a sudden we're arguing about, well, I don't always do it. You know, in
Last week.
1968,
Last Tuesday.
I shut that door. I remember the day. You can find that old calendar and see.
I did that.
marked instead of what the real issue is. When you make a remark like that, it hurts my feelings. It may be funny, but it hurts my feelings. So please don't do that.
Never and always then you're going to argue about.
Yeah.
The
Yes. So we just say, please make a request.
Yes.
Ask for what you want. He can't read my mind.
Right.
I think that he can, and I
Right.
think that he should.
Right.
You should know that I, want it this way.
And then you sometimes have to give that mercy. Again, I said it earlier. When you have a partner that's trying to change and they make a little mishap, it shouldn't escalate to World War III, especially if they're really making an effort. And Nancy learned that early on. She says, I'm just reminding you, okay. And then it was over. We could have a good night, go out to dinner, whatever. Wouldn't wreck the whole evening, wouldn't you say?
Yes. I think, just like a little nudge correction instead of a hammer correction.
Yeah.
And then the other partner appreciates that it's just a reminder.
But people, in the relationship, you have to have the ability to be open, frank, and honest. Because if you don't have that, one day, 15 years into the marriage, your wife walks into the house and says, I'm leaving you.
Yes.
And you didn't even see it coming.
didn't even know. Yeah.
So you gotta be able to talk it out and sometimes argue about it.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to do that in a relationship.
Yeah. We talk with couples a little bit about just a couch time, even 10, 15 minutes a day, just sitting down with one another and saying, how are we doing? Is there anything I can help with? Is there anything that, that pressure release valve, right? So that
Yeah.
it just kind of releases the pressure a little bit. Make sure that you're connected. And when life gets busy, it's like 10 minutes, that's not too much to ask, right? But, just making sure that you kind of set some sort of habit around that. Are there any habits that you've established in your relationship, whether it's praying together or going to church on Sunday or spending intentional time with one another? Are there certain things that you guys have put in place over the years that have been helpful to you?
Well, there's behavior. Obviously, me not making jokes at her expense, that is a definite habit. I open it's interesting that you would ask.
This is good.
This is clueless. I'm clueless. We run into a friend of mine and his wife. I play basketball with him. And we talked a minute. They were in the parking lot, and we sat in the car and we watched them go back to their car. And he opens the door for his wife and lets her get in and shuts the door and gets in and drives off. And I made a fatal mistake. I said, Nancy, is that something you would like? She said, I would love that. I had no clue. I had no clue.
Yes.
Was not on my radar. So from then on, from that day forward, when she gets into the car, I open the door and let her in. I get out of the car, I walk around, I open the door and let her get out.
That's
Even when he's mad at me.
Even,
Yes.
you're right.
Anyway.
Even when-
Yes.
Now, for a while, she would start to get out of the car. And I'd say, no. And she'd shut the car. How did I not know? Nobody taught me that. Nobody showed me that.
Yes.
But,
yes.
Well,
Joe-
you do it when you're dating because
Of
you know
course
you're
you do.
trying to win.
Ooh, and yes.
Yeah, but then you're married a few years and there's the car
And that was
seat.
what, 6 or 7 years
He's
ago?
been very consistent.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I if there were badges for this, like little
Right.
doors closed,
You
my
just
hand
look
on
at
it,
this-
that would be worn.
Yes.
Old dogs,
With
new
pride.
tricks.
I know.
I'm very proud.
And one
Yeah.
thing he does that's amazing is he comes up. I'm
You
go
may
to-
want to turn the volume up and get this.
I
one.
go to bed. I go to sleep earlier than he
Yes.
does. So now that he's retired, he can stay up and watch war movies or whatever
Tell-
guys watch it.
Till everybody's dead.
So I go up earlier. So he comes up and then he prays for me. He says, I'm going to tuck you in. So he comes up and tucks me in and we pray. And sometimes it leads to a little romance, but it isn't about that. It's about connection.
Yeah,
Yes,
connection.
And then I can sleep better because
Yes.
he's prayed for me. I'm safe.
Yes.
He's
And there's
caring.
an emotional connection.
There's
There's
an
no bad
emotional-
feelings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. We kind of release, like you said, the pressure valve is released
Yes.
because you do get the big picture. When you bring God into it, you're like, okay, I'm mad at you for leaving the hose running, some dumb
Yes,
thing.
yes.
But in the scope of our life together, I'm going to let that go, right? So that spiritual connection at the end of the day has been, and that's fairly recent, that we made it a consistent, not that he didn't pray for me before,
Yeah.
but that
To have
routine
that, yes.
has really been
That's
helpful.
really special.
Yeah,
I think
it
that's
really is.
really
Yeah.
special.
And it's 5 minutes maybe.
Yeah, and just think what that does for your heart, and like you said, that connection, and you didn't know that, and so
No.
for you to say this would
This means
bless
something
me,
to
this
me.
would bless me,
Right. And the protection.
yes.
That's one of
Check the
women's,
doors.
am I safe? I mean, that's what women are asking themselves
Constantly.
all the time. Men, not so much, but women are like, am I safe?
Am I
So
safe?
that tells me
to have
I'm
that
safe.
So it's good to check in with the wife once in a while and say, hey, is there anything that I can put on your list that I can do that will make you feel loved?
Yes.
And you'll discover something like opening the car door.
Yeah.
Yeah, in concrete ways. That's what we sometimes
Yes.
talk to couples about.
That's a
It's
good
like,
phrase.
yeah, concrete of like texting or bringing me flowers
Yes.
or playing a video game with me
Yes.
or that kind of thing where the other person can go, oh, I didn't realize
I can
that.
do that.
And you give the other person ideas of how to speak love. So,
Yeah, I like that. Clarity is kindness. I like that.
I like
You being
that.
very
Okay.
clear, and then also, as you said, actually expressing what you need instead of just, well, you should just know
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
stuff, right?
right.
We're all guilty of that, right? Just kind of
Yes.
thinking, well, you know me enough to know that I would
I
like
want
that,
this.
whatever, right? But to actually speak those things is so important. So I
No,
like
you're
that.
right.
And it can be risky too, because
sure.
they might say, I'm not doing that.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
vulnerable.
yeah, or
So
that
you
feeling
have-
of if you're not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. That kind
Right,
of feeling
you
of like
you
it's a
withhold.
50-50 or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah, or yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And that's an ongoing process, your whole marriage.
Yeah,
And that's what people
right.
got to remember. Because things that were important, and I've said this before, things that are important when she was 36 are not important. There's other stuff. So you constantly have to check in.
Yes.
What do you need?
Yeah.
How am I doing? What can I do different? And our wives will teach us what they need. If,
Yeah.
if they sense that they're safe and that we're going to respect what they're saying, not argue with them about it,
yeah.
then they're going to share with you, hey, here's what I would like.
Because this is your person. Do you
That's
know
it.
what I
Yes.
mean?
That's
This is
the
your
one, yeah.
person. And so to open the car door for your person, like, I love that. I want to pray. I want to, those little things.
And
yeah.
it's so simple. And in 15 years, she's going to be wiping the drool off. So I'm banking on that.
15.
Thank you so much.
Tuesday.
I'm drooping.
Well, and you never know what
Oh, yeah.
curveballs come.
That's
Yes.
true.
I
Yeah.
mean, we've had big health setbacks. We've had some crises
Yeah.
where we had to gather the troops and say, this is your turn. I don't have any needs right now because we're going to get you well.
Yes, yes.
And then we'll get back to us when we're ready. So, one of you may have to step up and be the hero.
I remember 40 years ago, we took a couple's weekend, and the lady that was speaking at the time, she gave a quick visual, like, pretend you see this building way out there. You don't know what it is. I'm going to speed up this story. You walk and you walk and you walk and you walk, and you realize it's an airplane hangar. And you force the door open, and down at the end of the other end of you see a little light, and there's something there. And you walk and you walk and you walk and you walk, and you get there, and it's a casket.
Wow.
And you walk up to the casket and you open it up, and it's your spouse laying in there. Now I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think about what would have been the last thing you would have been able to say had you known this was going to happen.
Wow.
And she took like 8 minutes to get to that point.
Right.
And you're facing each other with your head down, eyes closed. And now open your eyes, look your spouse in the eyes, and tell them that if this was the last thing, what would you say? Because she didn't have that. He went to work
Her
that day,
husband had
got in a car wreck. There was no last conversation. Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
emotionally.
So we have to be
Yeah.
aware that
It
you
could
never
happen.
know.
Right.
You
It
never
It
know.
could happen. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a powerful story.
And I was working with a young man the other day. I said, don't be afraid of change in the relationship. You have to be willing to make changes, and your spouse has to be willing to make changes. And if you're have an open heart, the Lord's going to direct you. Hey, here's what your wife needs. You got to change in that area. A lot of people, hey, I had a friend that said, hey, this is the way I was when she married me. This is who I am. Do you think they're still married?
Yeah, because she married a child and you remained a child is basically what
Absolutely.
happened, you know?
This is the way I am. She knew it,
Right?
and they're divorced.
Yeah.
So we got to be willing to change, because your needs are different now than they were back
Well,
then.
yeah, I was 22 and now I'm 70. So I have physical needs, emotional needs, spiritual needs, hormonal needs.
Oh,
A lot of
difficult.
things have changed. Nick, our son, doesn't live with us anymore. He lives on his own. So that's a heartache and
He's
a
autistic,
transition.
so he's on his own now.
Nick has
So that's
special
issues,
needs.
yeah.
So that was a whole marriage thing that's very hard. Any couple that has a special needs child has to navigate that, because I tended to be soft with him, maybe too soft, and I thought Ron was too harsh with him. So we had to find that
That balance.
Yeah.
and stay together, right, and
Top of
protect
all
Nick
that.
and do what's best for Nick. So
Right.
that's kind of an unusual need. Not everybody has that.
Yeah.
But there may be, when we were caring for our parents, elderly parents, that's a strain on a marriage.
Yeah, for sure.
We had all three, his mom and both my parents all died the same year,
Ooh,
within a year of each other.
yeah.
So, and they were all in hospice. So that was like 2014. I think I was cracking up.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
I mean,
sure.
I was so fragmented. So he was very sweet and made allowances for it's still hard,
Yeah.
for my losses, for my grief, for my frustration for all of it. So he had to be the hero for a year to get me through that.
Yeah.
But then once we're through that, then we can come back together and go, okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Thanks for getting me through that
Yeah.
crisis.
Yeah.
So you take turns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Praise God for that
Yeah.
too. We're coming alongside the other person. I'm here. I love you.
Right. How
Takes-
can I help?
Yeah.
And he was great. He would take my dad donuts and he would carry some of the load.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I
great.
love that.
Now, Nancy, you said you're coming up on your 70th birthday and you've put together a list. So I want to understand what was the genesis of this idea? What's on the list? What have you done and what have you not done? Not everything there, but I'm curious to hear
Well,
more.
the premise was that I was going to do 70 things I'd never done in the year between my 69th and 70th birthday.
Okay.
So I had to be very intentional. That mathematically is
Yeah,
something
not
new
a lot
every 5 days.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I tend to think in charts and graphs. So I had to kind of plot some of them out. And then on some of them, one of them was to be more spontaneous in general. So when people would ask me to do crazy stuff, as long as it didn't break a bone, I would decided ahead of time I was going to do
Say yes.
things
Say yes.
spontaneous.
More
Yes,
yeses.
I was going to. Yes, so that my year of yeses was kind of what I named it. So saying yes to things. He's more the optimist extrovert.
Let's do it.
Yeah. What can it hurt? Who cares?
Yes.
So it's been good for me.
Are you usually involved in the things that she's doing when she suddenly decides
Most
to jump
of it
out of an
is just
airplane, or are you
like-
right alongside?
Well, I threw that out to her the other day. She says, nothing that'll break a bone.
I gotcha.
But we were meeting today with a young man that does hip hop. Would it be hip hop music?
Hip-hop.
And he lays down tracks for these hip hoppers. He creates tracks for
Mm-hmm.
their music. Andre is his name. And I mentioned that to him, and he says, "You think she'd want to lay down some tracks?" I said,
Some beats.
"So beats. That's what it was.
Okay.
Beats."
Yeah.
I said, "What does that mean?" He laughed, and then he told me. I said, "I'll ask her," and she said yes. So actually, we were going to go to a studio, but he says, "I'll just bring my stuff over to your house." He forgot his charger cord this morning. So he's
So we're
gonna
going to do it. But we're going
Still
to
on
get
the
the
But at least
beats
they got to
in.
know each other.
And I did wanted to be proficient at a musical instrument.
Yeah.
So
she's
I
really
started
good at
playing.
ukulele now.
Okay.
I love it.
Wow.
I am crazy about it. I love my at the senior center, the wild and crazy seniors with the ukuleles, and we just have such fun. And now I'm in another group that's like 100 people. Thursdays down at Huntington Beach Pier, we have a ukulele party.
Oh, I
There's
love it.
hundreds of us.
And then Wednesday nights, 1 week a month, they do gospel night. And
Yeah,
they do
so
that.
we do that.
She had one where boxing. She thought she'd try boxing.
Well, you were talking about no broken bones, and now you're
Well,
boxing with people?
Well,
she didn't
it
know.
was at the senior
She
center.
thought, oh, it's
Okay,
just, she thought it was
alright.
going to be air boxing.
Right.
And the
Or
guy's
a
putting the
bag.
helmet on her, and he's giving her a
It
mouthpiece.
was real.
And it was
she
a
says,
big guy.
Are we actually going to hit each other? Yeah, that's why we're putting all this pads on you. She says, I'm not doing this. She started taking it off.
Yeah, I'll have to find another item.
I
one.
signed a waiver on that one.
Yeah.
But so that was part of it. So that's what I wrote is sometimes knowing when to say no is just as powerful as pushing yourself to say yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once I'm like, I this is not for me. So that was a good thing too.
Right, right.
Well, I did a drum circle.
Took a
I
bocce ball class,
bocce
a pickleball
ball,
class.
pickleball. I drove my brother's non-driving car. You know, the
Drives itself.
autonomous
Self-driving car.
Yes.
Okay.
It was horrifying. I'll never do that again.
You check
Cross
that
it off the list.
Yes.
Well, what
Cross it
took
off.
you the furthest out of your comfort zone when you think about, or are those items still forthcoming?
Walking in, it's called a drum circle. I don't know if you even know what that is, but there was 100 people. I like to know that somebody's in there that I know. So walking into a room of 100 people with chairs and I've got to find my place was hard for me. But once I did it and the instructor was fun and you take this drum and you just, his instructions were just, your body knows what to do with this drum. humans have been drumming since forever, hitting a tree or whatever with a stick. So the freedom, I think, that I allowed myself
That.
and then we yell,
Yeah.
like very primal, and we hit the drum and we laugh. And I love what he said. He said, there's no right or wrong. As long as you don't hurt your hands, there's no way you can fail at any of it. Just relax and do it. So I did that once, and now I brought a whole bunch of people with me.
Yes.
And they're all, when we leave, I go, are my pupils dilated? I think I'm high.
Oh, so
It's so exciting. And he talks about the brain and body connection.
Yeah.
And it just lights up pathways that you didn't know you had. So the drum circle was an unexpected win.
Yeah.
I just saw a flyer, free drum circle at the senior center.
Yeah.
And I go, I'm going.
that is,
But
yes.
this for her, she's, if I would describe her not in a negative way, she's pretty much of an introvert and
I'm very cautious.
very cautious.
Yeah.
And so for her to go out and do all of these things is wild.
Yeah. Anything that you thought would be useful for, young couples who are largely, couples on the cusp of marriage?
I think a key thing is don't be afraid of changing your behavior. Don't get stuck in it, because you're going to go through different seasons in life. So embrace that as you're going through that period and take it and run with it. Wouldn't you say?
And the flexibility of, like I talked about, it might be my turn, it might be his turn, it might be time to focus on the kids, time to get him through med school, whatever the thing is
Yes.
that you need to rally the troops for.
Right.
And then you can go back and regroup and reap the rewards together. Because you together have accomplished these goals. Like when he was a tax accountant, he'd work 100 days with no days off.
Oh, I bet.
So he called me his magic genie. I mean, I would anticipate what he needed because he was working 18 hours a day. But that's when he made the bulk of his money, like a farmer during
Right.
harvest.
Yeah.
You've got to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was something that I would help wives with if their husband's, say, a firefighter or a police officer or something where they have really intense periods to, to be there for each other and to help each other. And as far as a newlywed couple,
Don't be afraid of change. And for you young men, I learned this early on. I didn't always honor it, but I do believe it's true, is your spouse is your best marriage manual. They will guide you and direct you as to what the relationship needs. And you're not giving up much by just listening to them and adapting to that. And be quick to say, I'm sorry. And not to say, you're wrong. Again,
defensive.
defensive. Listen to her. And it's, things that are important now are not going to be important down the road. There's going to be new things that are important. So adapt. And don't be defensive. Don't be so overly defensive. You husbands are going to do dumb stuff that's going to hurt your wife's feelings. They're going to make her mad. And when she comes to you, she's not trying to destroy you by bringing it to your attention. She's just trying to say, hey, let's take a time out. When you make jokes at my expense, it hurts my feelings. When you have pornography in the house, it hurts my feelings. When you don't pray for me, it hurts my feelings. When you don't go to church with me and do all the things and serve together as a couple, those things are things that build the marriage and the relationship. And you have to do it, because otherwise you're putting your marriage at risk.
So powerful.
Like Nancy came to me last week with a thing and I overreacted. And don't beat yourself up when you make a mistake. You're human. There's times where you're going to overreact. Regroup, apologize, ask for forgiveness, and get on with life. It doesn't mean you're a worthless person. All the stuff that happened to you when you were a child, try to put that away. She loves you. He loves you. And talk about it. Talk about it again and talk about it again until you get some resolution and clarity. Because sometimes Nancy will share something with me and I think I understand it. And I am so far of the point that she's really trying to make. And she'll say, I don't think you're getting it. Don't be defensive. Say, well, give it to me again. Give it to me again. And then repeat back to me. And then at some point, Oh, I think I get it. Like one of the big things last week was she said something and I felt like she was attacking me and she really wasn't, but maybe I had a bad day, I don't know, but I felt like I was under attack and I overreacted relative to what she was trying to share with me. So I had to understand, why did I overreact? It wasn't that big a deal, but also acknowledge the fact that I made a mistake and I overreacted. Because she was like, why did you overreact so much? And then we talked about it. And I think we got to the bottom of it. I think it was, I won't go into the details, but I think we at least got some clarification on
we kind
it.
of deconstructed it
Why?
and went back when the emotions were not high.
Right.
I think that's great. Kind of like a fight review, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Later we
go
can
back,
go back
like,
and watch this
what
thing and say,
happened
oh,
now here was my point of view on it,
Uh-huh.
and here's what I was thinking.
Mhm.
What's your point of view on it? Like a replay.
Yes.
One of the other things that we see among young couples that we didn't have to deal with is the phones.
Yes.
The electronic, the
Mhm.
gaming. The phone is addictive. We all know
So
that.
addictive.
But I see a lot of problems with, and the secrecy. That's a whole different
Mhm.
issue. But for us anyway, we have each other's passwords.
Mhm.
So there shouldn't be
Totally open.
secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And some people have a real hard time with that
Yeah.
because they do have secrets.
Mhm.
You know what Dr. Phil, he who has nothing to hide hides nothing.
Mhm.
So
I thought of that.
Yeah.
so that's one thing that we do talk to newlyweds about is your phones are now our phones.
That's
Right.
really good.
You need to have passwords. If your spouse is not giving you passwords, that's a bigger problem than they think it is.
Yes.
It's not a small problem
Mm-hmm.
because you're now one. The Lord says we're now one.
Heart, yeah.
Everything's got to be open, honest, and on the table. And husbands, take the initiative to sign up for couples retreats.
Mm-hmm.
You take the initiative. Don't wait for her. You sign up for the couples retreats. She's going to feel like you love her and that you
Yes.
care about the marriage and that you're taking care of business. And then you go to her and say, hey, we're going to go to that couples retreat.
Yeah.
So
You be the initiative.
Arrange for
You
childcare,
be the
whatever it has to do.
Every year. If
Yeah.
you go to that couples retreat
Yes.
every year. When I was young, it was a selfish thing. If I go to a couples retreat and I learn one thing that's going to make more romance in my marriage, I'm going.
do it. Yes.
But now it's more of a practical thing. I just want to keep the harmony going in the relationship. And every time you go to one of those couples retreats, you're going to learn something. The Lord's going to give you, somehow, He's going to minister to you what you need to work on. And you're going to do that, and your marriage is going to be better. The other thing about going to couples retreats as young couples, you're going to meet your next best couple friends. And then your wife is going to have a female that she can confide in, and you're going to have a male buddy that you can confide in.
It's very,
And those
double dates.
spiritually,
Huge. Yes.
not a buddy from basketball court,
Right.
but a spiritual brother that can check you and say, hey,
Yeah.
when you call your wife names like that, that does not please the Lord. When you're looking at that pornography, that does not please the Lord.
Right.
So you gotta be very purposeful in protecting your kingdom in every way that you
Yes.
can. You constantly gotta be putting those bricks on the wall so the enemy can't get in there.
Yeah.
And all these little things over a long-term period are gonna, there's nothing guaranteed. There's no guarantees. But the more armament you put around your little castle, the more likely you're gonna finish the race together. Finish the race together.
Yes.
I'm kissing her on my deathbed.
Yes.
She's kissing me on my deathbed.
Yes.
She's not cursing me,
Yeah.
right?
That's true.
That's what you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Your
You
best friends.
You
your
want to
best
be
friends,
missed.
your
Oh,
hand.
thank God he's taking his last breath here. No.
Like the Notebook, right? Like
There you
get
go.
in bed
The
together,
movie, The
go
Notebook.
together.
Well, it's beautiful. I mean, when people think about it, because when they get married, right, they are looking for it. And they're thinking, oh, when we're older, we want to be holding hands in the park and loving one another, right? That's really what you set off on that journey, you know. And then somewhere along the way,
And like you
things
said,
can just
all
get,
those
you know?
seasons, you know,
Yeah.
with kids and
Yes.
work and those things are difficult
Yeah.
to go through. So
Yeah.
it is a trial.
If you had to go back and give yourself a piece of advice somewhere along the line, whether it was when you were already married or before you got married, what advice might you give to yourself?
For me, it would be not be defensive.
Yeah.
Because then everything opens up if I'm not defensive.
Yeah, right.
She'll open up and share anything with me, the good and the bad and the ugly of the relationship that needs to be tweaked. But if I'm defensive,
Right.
that's going to shut her down. And then one day she's going to walk into the living room and say, "Oh, by the way, here's the keys to the house. I'm out of here." And I, what?
What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For mine, it ties in with that, but it would be, you don't have to bring everything up. There are some times to go, well, maybe he's tired, and that, not to make excuses for abuse or anything, but if it's a little rough patch, kind of let it
grace
go.
sort of
You
side.
don't have to bring up everything.
Yes. Yeah.
So that is what I would give more mercy and make allowances and be quicker to let things go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Hold on.
I'm like a
Yes.
ruminator.
Yes.
I
Yes.
go, well, if he wouldn't have done that, and if I
Yes.
wouldn't have done that, and like relive it.
Over and over.
Well, can you imagine if that was the Lord's attitude? You bring something to the Lord. Says, you did the same thing last week, 2 months ago. I'm not ready to. I got to decide if I'm going to forgive you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. It's nice because we have an example that sets a very high
Yeah.
bar
Very
for
high
all
bar.
of us, right?
Yeah, nice.
But it is good. I think about that as the idea of like, Lord, is this something that is this just me? Is this something I need
Yeah.
to bring
Let
up?
this go.
Because a lot of things, it's like, well, if I feel an affront, I must speak.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
bring it to the Lord first, right?
Yeah,
Write
And-
it down.
and then-
Maybe 15 minutes later. I mean,
That's
do-
a good technique.
I
Yeah.
do
Yes.
write it down,
Uh-huh.
or in the voice notes on my
Sure.
phone.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I'll wake up in the morning and go, what was I talking
Either
about?
that or she goes, I gotta start a whole new book.
Yeah.
I'm going to need another phone. It's full. And another
So
thing.
sometimes just venting, but maybe not to him.
Well, that's
Yes.
why her friend Tanya,
Yes.
they vent to each other.
Mm.
And it really does. I'm sure that relationship has saved us from so many
Yes.
arguments.
She has a good perspective. She'll always say, your focus is really narrow right now.
Yeah.
Let's back up
Widen the perspective a little bit.
and
Yeah.
let's say, he's a good man. He's a great father. He's been a good provider. He's a Christian. He loves you. Is he annoying? Sometimes he is. But let's not get stuck there.
It's great.
So that-
wise counsel,
Wise
biblical
Yes.
counsel, and someone who has your marriage.
And she's
you know,
long,
Yeah.
40 something years together too. And then I'll do it with her too. I'll go, well,
Yes.
but they're good guys. We would pick them again.
Yes.
So let's,
Sign that.
Yeah.
so I think that's part of it. Some of it's just maturity.
Because I have a buddy of mine, sometimes we'll talk about our discussion with our wife, and I'll vent, and he says, well, what were you thinking when you said that? How do
You're
you
like-
think she was going to react?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, hold it, you're my buddy, you're supposed to be
Yeah,
on
you're on my side, right?
Yeah, well, I don't think you should have said that.
Yes. We
Yeah.
need that. We need that
Yeah.
with one another.
For sure. Yeah. Well, we appreciate so much what you guys have done, and it's amazing just to see how God has brought your story, as difficult as it was, to such a beautiful place that can help so many
Yeah.
people, and the way in which you pour into others and have
Yes.
spent your time so generously with us is really a gift. And
Oh,
we're so,
thank you.
so
Yes,
thankful for
thank
it.
you
for having
guys
Now
us.
we need
so
a double
much.
date.
Yeah, we're gonna
that
do a
sounds
double
like
date.
blast, for
I
sure.
love that.
Okay,
I
that'll
love
be
that.
fun.
Let me
I
say a
know.
quick prayer to close us
Yes.
out.
Okay.
Lord, I just thank you so much for Ron and Nancy. I just thank you so much for their hearts, Lord. I thank you for what you've done in their lives, Lord, how you've redeemed, you brought forgiveness, and you've just been present as a cord of three in the midst of their relationship, Lord. Thank you so much for what you're doing in their lives and what you're going to continue to do moving forward, Lord. We're so excited to see what's in store for them as they continue to move forward. Thank you for the impact that they've had with the gifts and skills and unique talents that you've given them, Lord. And I pray for Nancy's writing as it goes forward, Lord, that it would bless so many others, and for Ron and for his sense of humor and his zest for life. It's just contagious, Lord. We're just so thankful to spend this time with them, and we just pray that some of this would go forward and would just change people's lives, Lord, point towards you and bring glory and honor to you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen, amen. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for listening.
Please subscribe or follow to get notified with each new episode of the Tools for Marriage podcast.
We're cheering you on.